Hello friends, I hope you're going extremely well. ERP ownership is not enough. So if your business is having a ERP, so you implement ERP in your business, having it is not just enough. There is more to it, and that's what we are going to cover in this session. Now, this session is based upon few other topics that are the foundation topics, and I'll share a link within the show notes. So please take a look for some foundational topics that will help you to understand this topic in a bit more detail. But if you are across ERP, it should be quite straightforward. And let's get into it. So ERP ownership is not enough. Maximize returns on investment with continuous optimization. So that's the topic we are going to cover. Let's get into it now. So first, the target audience for this session is the people who are already across ERP. So they have implemented ERP within their organization, and the ERP implementation is at least 2 years old, so it's settled in. So anyone who have ERP within their organization and it's implemented over 2 years, it can be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, doesn't matter. So anyone having ERP in their business over 2 years, they are the ones who are targeted for this specific session. So we'll cover some basics and move forward. This is a rather a quick session, so should not take too long. All right, let's get into some scene setting. So previously in the sessions which we have covered before, we talk about what is enterprise, what are enterprise resources, what is enterprise software, and then we cover a foundation on and some basics on how much resource utilization is important for success of any business. So the business success depends upon how effectively we are utilizing our enterprise resources, whether those enterprise resources are human resources, our stock, information, data, or any other enterprise resource. Effective use of enterprise resource dictates, supports success of any business. Hence, there is a need, there is a requirement of enterprise software like ERP. And then we jumped on a topic by the heading of what is ERP, and in detail we cover what exactly is ERP. We take few examples on professional services, manufacturing, few other businesses, and try to put a context on what ERP is and how ERP support different types of businesses, whether it's a retail business, manufacturing business, distribution, trade, and etc. So how ERP is supporting different types of organizations. So we covered that topic before, and again we'll put the links in the show notes. Now, while we ended the topic, the last sort of session within that specific topic of what is ERP, there were three scenarios that we covered, and those three scenarios, the first scenario is you have an ERP, and I urge you in that session, if you have ERP already implemented within your organization, then that's not the end. Please don't think that that is it, we have ERP and no more action required. Instead, there is much more consideration, optimization that is required. So for that specific audience, for that specific use case or scenario, I have put together this session. So this session is for the people who have ERP in their organization, at least 2 years old, and what things they should be thinking of. I hope that makes sense. I know there is a bit more foundational sort of topics, and if you know ERP, you should be able to follow it through. And if not, then perhaps it's best to look at the other sessions which we have covered, and the details are again in the show notes. Let's move on. So this is a bit of scene setting, what we have covered in the previous sessions, and we'll start with the story, and in the next sort of slide we'll cover, okay, look, we'll reflect on this story. So hear me out. This story is about a manufacturer, entrepreneur who was sort of manufacturing pens. So he used to do everything manual and took a long time to get stuff done. And he met a vendor who said, okay, look, you're doing a lot of manual stuff. What I will do is I will put together a manufacturing unit for you. Since you develop different types of pen, say red, blue, green, three different types of pen, I'll put together for the red pen, which is the most important one among all. That's the higher revenue. Uh, so let's develop that one unit for your red pens. So from that point onwards, they took a while. There was toing and froing, get the new machinery set up for the installation and training and helping the entrepreneur and his staff to understand how the machine will be utilized in the manufacturing unit. And yeah, it took a while. By the end of the implementation, they were all very exhausted. They say, oh, the machine looked good, but we have to change so many different things. You have to train our staff, and it's very tiring. So they thanked the vendor and they shake hands, and then the phase 2, phase 3, remember the green and blue other pens other than the red pen, that never happened because they were so much exhausted and tired of this process. They said, okay, look, our problem is almost solved. We are selling red pens the most and we got a machine to do it. So a few months and years, they were relatively smooth. Over a period of time, staff changed, the new staff came in, and they were not trained as much on the new machine. So they said, look, the machine used to work, it doesn't work anymore. We are going to use processes, few manufacturing items outside this specific machine, so we have to do that manually. So that process changed as the new people came in. Similarly, technology change, the sort of requirements of the customers changed as well. So there is general change in the business. As a result of that, the machine which used to work very well, it was not very well accepted by the staff. So the entrepreneur used to like the manufacturing unit, and after say 7 years they said, look, it used to work, it doesn't work, and now it's a bit of liability, let's get off this machine. But reflecting back, the phase 2, phase 3 never happened, and no one really took care of any maintenance, any serious maintenance. The vendor was not contacted. So it could have been an opportunity for the entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who owned that pen manufacturing unit, for working hand in hand with the vendor of the machine, and perhaps the big opportunity was sort of lost. So the moral of the story is, when we implement one thing, the first project within the first phase, there are multiple things that needs to happen after it. If you're sick and tired of phase 1, other phases are discarded and the opportunity is lost as well. And when we say we have got something, any asset that needs constant training, that needs constant development, improvement throughout its life cycle. So, and any asset, if you buy a car, it needs to be maintained. The new people who are driving the car needs to be taught how the different options work. So that is in general the moral of the story, and we're going to relate this to our enterprise resource planning software. So the same is true for enterprise resource planning software as well. If you are owning the ERP over 2 years, it is likely that the vendor has worked with you and say, look, you have got quite a few modules. We will implement a finance module and say procurement, and all other say manufacturing and others, we will wait for it. It is possible that phase 2, phase 3 never happened, and you are still using the first set of modules that were implemented in phase 1. So the opportunity loss of not implementing or not utilizing the other modules, that's what perhaps you could be suffering as well, something to consider. Your staff turnover means the new people are coming in. It's likely that they're they're not being trained well in the new system, hence they are sort of devising their way through outside the ERP, and blaming or knowingly or unknowingly saying that, oh look, the ERP doesn't work that well, so let's do this report outside ERP, let's do this process manually because the system doesn't support it. Could be due to lack of training or induction for the new staff. The technology evolves, so there could be the integrations that used to work before, they stopped working because other third party software, there is an upgrade there, and hence the integrations now broken. So but they're still broken, no one talks about it, we're just getting used to doing things manually. Similarly, we talk about business needs. The business needs change over time, and if we are not acknowledging the change, implementing the change in the ERP, after a while, ERP is going to be static and not evolving with our business. Hence, the value of that ERP sort of degrades over a period of time, and then we start looking for some other tool, some other ERP after 5-7 years. So the problem is not so much of the ERP system what we have now. The problem is that a lack of discipline, a lack of governance, of maintenance, keeping the continuous improvement up to date processes within ERP. So ERP must evolve with our business, and if it's not evolving, it is static, it is likely that after 5-7 years we will be looking out, going to market and looking for new ERP. That's again is a lost opportunity and a lot of cost. Few other topics related, so underutilizations of feature, and there is a lack of maintenance. The data, if we're not looking and keeping our data up to date, the addresses, the supplier sort of contacts, and the core master data is not kept up to date, it's not cleansed occasionally, then perhaps we will have a lot of garbage, what we call as a bad data in our system, and the reporting can be messy as well. And again, we tend to find the workarounds outside our ERP by using other tools for analytics because our data is not right. So this is again, we set a bit of foundation by saying, okay, let's take a look at the story of a pen manufacturer, and then we try to relate that with ERP. So consider ERP is a machine. It is in fact a machine. It's a tool to do our business. But because of its breadth and depth, we start with small. The problem is we end with small as well because of that fatigue of implementation and change. Then we do not have a continuous improvement framework after the ERP implementation, and hence there's a sort of downward spiral of bad data, lack of training and induction, and again manual processes creeping up over a period of time. And all of these elements, they add up, and after 7 years we think, oh, ERP is no longer supporting our business, let's get rid of this specific ERP, let's look for something else. The problem is not in an ERP, again just reiterating, the problem is in a lack of our understanding of what should be done from a governance, continuous improvement perspective, so we keep our ERP alive. That's the key message I wanted to share with you. Now the question is, you may be thinking, oh look, SP, that's all good, but we have things sorted in our business. So you may be still sort of thinking, look, the ERP is good. It does what we expect. And yeah, no issues within our sort of business. Again, I would not like you to take that assumption. Instead, I would like you to take some time and do a assessment and get others involved as well. So I'll share it may take 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes to do that specific assessment, and that covers different topics related to ERP in different aspects. So it is much more broader assessment of how well you are utilizing ERP and where we can improve. So it's going to help. Take some time and get others to do this assessment as well. I'm going to share the link to the assessment in the show notes, and use that link, and once you're done we will be in touch with the results. And again, this is free of cost, but I want you to make sure that the opportunity is not lost. I do not like you to be in the market after 5 or 7 years of ERP implementation. We can sort out what we have now, and that's the focus. That's what I want from you and from your organization. Utilize what you have. That's a digital asset that we do not want to throw away and look for something else. Okay, I think that is helpful. And if you have any questions, please do not shy away contacting us. The email address is info@bhaniconsulting.com. We are going to again put that in the comments and show notes. My name is SB Singh, and I'm a consultant at Bhani Consulting. We partner with medium-sized businesses, help them transform the business using technology. So we understand your business, we understand the technology, we work at the technology level with you and improve the technology so you can achieve the business goals. All right, with that, I take your leave. Thank you so much attending this session, and there is much more on this journey. So we'll be coming to you again in some time very soon. All right, thank you. Thanks again. Bye now.